Where will Pokemon Switch be set? And are the recent rumors about the location correct?
The sun never sets on the British Empire. Yes, it is true to this day, if you count British overseas territory. In fact, many of Her Majesty's former colonies would be great as Pokemon regions from both the northern and southern hemispheres. Still, the Pokemon Company has only gone to one former British colony where colonists from their own nation rebelled and won. As such, we thought that in this mini-series, which will be ongoing to whenever Pokemon Switch is revealed, that we will first go over what used to be the British Empire before heading over to other European powers and their former colonies.
In order to set off real proper, we'll begin from the source of globalization itself, Britain. In particular, since Duncan Can't Die and Birdkeeper Toby are rather confident that England, of all places, will be the Generation 8 region. Naturally, this information remained to be confirmed, but since the only division of the Pokemon Company outside of Japan is located in the UK, to add some more credibility to the first 2 episodes, we have brought Mr. Buddy, who is the expert on this field, with a 1 hour and 30 minutes long video case on an English Pokemon region, and naturally our English voice talent Leo from leolinguistics.tumblr.com. With that out of the way, it's time to take a closer look on how a UK province could work inside Pokemon Switch.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Inside Pokemon Switch and our mini-series build-up to the Gen 8 reveal, Regions. In this first episode, we are heading to also known as the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. As you may have figured out, this is my home country, and as just doing England alone would be a major insult to the great lands of Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, we'll be including them too. Yes, this might be an overkill for the game, until you realise that the UK is only half the size of France, or the same size as the Pokemon region of Kalos, aka Northern France if you prefer, and is actually possible to pull off.
As such, this video will go over all of them and look at the possibilities the Switch offers for this potential UK region when it comes to exploring the lands in a semi-open world versus top-down perspective, Pokemon variety within these, and finally, gameplay possibilities. The UK is a varied country with wildlife found both on land and in the water surrounding its isles. Seeing this, an extensive variety of existing, although less exotic Pokemon would definitely feel right at home within its massive hilly fields, beaches and cliffs, mountains, lakes, aristocratic palaces, and territorial waters. But how would we explore them all?
Multiple ways, no matter if it's a semi-open world or another top-down adventure. The most natural starting point, though, would have to be on board a ferry from Kalos on the way to the cliffs of Dover, where you select your starter Pokemon and for the first time face against the criminal team of this region, say a Team Britannia or Team Redcoats. Say their objective is to restore the might of the former British Empire and make Great Britain great again. Sorry, had to make that joke with all the Brexit debates going on. Obviously, after Alola, we don't even have to be native to the Pokemon region in question, and as such, this time you will likely be a visitor from any part of the world. It will be an interesting concept, and say that you can select a skin tone depending on where you're from, whether that be Europe, Asia, Africa, America, Oceania, you name it. The point is that you team up with other visiting Pokemon trainers on the boat, and combined you easily defeat the fanatic imperialists. Now you are in Dover, so how will the British Isles be structured from here on out?
Well, it depends on whether the game is set in a semi-open or more ambitious top-down world, and this is the dilemma we will face throughout this mini-series. Going for a semi-open world will grant us more freedom of movement and exploration, but cost us multiple locations and perhaps even entire chunks of the country in question. That will mean that you will be able to freely explore larger open areas of the UK, but this will not be seamless, rather connected to other portions in a similar manner to how we went from province to province in Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Say that England is one area, then Wales, then back to England prior to heading for Scotland, and Northern Ireland before you head for the capital area.
Most likely we will travel between these by the most British mean of transportation, namely rail, and the style of these will differ depending on the area you are travelling to, with exception of say Northern Ireland, which will have to be reached by boat. All of this can just be cutscenes like in Sun and Moon, or actual bound areas that you explore and battle Pokemon trainers or Team Britannia Redcoats. In other words, if you want as many locations and towns as possible rather than freedom of movement and exploration, then a top-down perspective will be a far more superior option for one simple reason. It requires less development time for Game Freak when it comes to each set location. Even so, it is a given that both options will to some extent include iconic destinations like Dover, London, which might at first be unreachable because of say Team Redcoats, or Brexit or whatever, Stonehenge, Oxford or Cambridge, and a few other locations in England, Cardiff and surrounding areas in Wales, Edinburgh, the Great Lakes with Loch Ness, and mountains in Scotland. And you know what? Having Northern Ireland might just be a too tall order for Game Freak, in particular if we are going for a semi-open world.
While with the top-down UK, the map might be filled out more like this. You get the point. Now for the Pokemon, as previously stated, the UK is a varied country with wildlife found both on land and in the waters surrounding its isles, and its traditional landscapes would fit perfectly with a number of less exotic existing Pokemon, like the Super British Pyroar Lion and even Snubbull and Granbull. But what about new Pokemon? One obvious candidate is a Pokemon based on the Loch Ness Monster. Yes, we already have Lapras, but do you really think the Loch Ness Monster is that small? That is a preposterous claim, and as such, this is a great candidate for a new legendary Pokemon that you would need in order to get from Scotland to Northern Ireland. Next up, we have the Atlantic Puffin. I guess you see now why getting rid of Scotland from this region would be a major mistake.
As for more English and Welsh Pokemon, we still don't have a unicorn Pokemon, and it will never hurt to have a Blood Red Dragon based on the Welsh Dragon. In fact, the coat of arms of the Prince of Wales is pretty much a perfect palette for potential starter Pokemon of this region. In regards to sea-based Pokemon, the UK has a large variety to offer, but of more unusual ones, a Pokemon based on a basking shark would be pretty sweet. This now leaves us with the activities that can be found in Pokemon's version of the UK. Beside exploration, shopping, and styling your character and Pokemon, this could involve different investigative or even spy missions to reflect the UK's rich history on this field. Other examples are sailing, rowing, horse races, or polo matches that could even serve as mini-games in certain locations, or other traditional activities tied to British aristocracy.
After all, Sherlock Holmes and James Bond had their bases in London, and we have Detective Pikachu who has his own game, an upcoming movie, and perhaps a significant role in a UK-based Pokemon game. Imagine walking down Baker Street just to be greeted by the greatest detective of them all, Pikachu. And this is just one particular London-based Pokemon example. As for the rest, how about a questline based on St. George and the Dragon, even though in reality he never set his foot in England during his life, or the country named after him, which has a really similar flag to that of England. The point is, regional differences among the different members of the UK would be a great way to mark a clear difference among England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Other than that, it is instrumental to continue the approach with wild Pokemon roaming around outside of cities and towns, and with Britain's long tradition of hunting, it would only be fitting to bring back battles against wild Pokemon. Perhaps we could see a Pokemon based on the British Beagle facing up against an English fox in the forests of England. That would be great, and it could also add a real layer of immersion and be a major improvement to the general criticism of Pokemon Let's Go approach to wild battles. But these are only an introduction to the massive possibilities that a UK region could offer. For a more in-depth take on the matter, we strongly recommend that you check out Mr. Buddy's detailed 1 hour and 30 minutes long video on an English Pokemon region, and obviously subscribe to his channel for helping us out in this episode and the next one, when we will be heading down under to the land of the kangaroos, wombats, platypuses and many other potential Pokemon. And of course a big thanks goes also to our editor and cameraman Scott, who makes a brilliant job editing these Pokemon Switch episodes, so make sure to also give a little shout out to him in the comment section down below. So why don't you just take it away, Mr. Buddy?
Hey, thank you Conrad, Leo, and Scott for having me on. And subscribe to the Commonwealth Realm and press that notification bell, as I'm going to be back here for the next episode in 2 weeks' time to talk about a former British colony in the Southern Hemisphere.
Once again, thank you Mr. Buddy for joining us, and we look very much forward to having you again for the next episode on the Gen 8 region. We're getting closer and closer to the 200k subscriber milestone. Less than 19k remains, and if you love in-depth Pokemon videos, then you know what to do, as we have big plans for both Inside Pokemon Switch and celebrations plus giveaways when we surpass this big milestone. We also need to thank all our gracious patrons, and in particular royal producer Kenyatta Ali and Patreon hero Holy Wolf. You can join them too and get access to our weekly Patreon exclusive podcast and other perks on patreon.com/commonrealm. Until the next video, why not check out one of these 2 great videos.